Everyone, hi, good evening. Bruce Mufson, LCSW, coming at you with another music breakdown from Sunridge of Nevada. I want to just talk a little bit about myself first. I have a master's in social work from the University of Georgia, which I received roughly about 25 years ago. And once I finished my master's, I had to do 2 years post-master's so that I can then take the national exam and become a licensed clinical social worker, of which I am today. I have worked with thousands of individuals from 3 to 83, and I have done literally thousands of assessments, as well as also thousands of home visits going to people's homes. I have testified in court hundreds of times to judges and attorneys, helped them understand what a patient is dealing with in terms of their mental illness. And I've also spoken dozens of times about mental health issues, mostly to law enforcement on how to work better with the mentally ill. In addition, every 2 years, I have to have roughly 40 additional credits so that I can maintain my clinical license. Tonight's breakdown is Vinnie Paz'S, and the song is Happiness Just a Word? We found this topic very, very interesting for us, and of course, it was recommended by one of our fans. And we actually did a video about this several weeks ago, talking about this very topic, which affects millions of Americans, roughly 2% of the population. He talks about his struggles with depersonalization and how it affected him, how it influenced his music, and how it affected his mental health. And what I'm going to do tonight is a little bit different. Normally, I just break down segments of the lyrics, but tonight I was so interested in the entire song, I'm going to break it down in pieces, and then I'm going to give you my clinical synopsis, and then I'm going to give you information about the disorder. So if anyone is suffering from it, well, you know someone that is, you will now have information to give them that will help them understand themselves and realize they're not alone, you can get help, and you can get better. Here we go. Okay, Is Happiness Just a Word by Vinnie Paz'S. Now you have the intro, and it goes like this. Run, 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 and then darkness comes beneath the dying stars with all the blood and scars. My mouth will hunt you, with fear I appear. Nothing will stop me. You crave the creature in me, shouted, I will capture you, so run. To me, clinically, this was a message of I'm not giving up. Nothing will stop me. You want me to surrender. You want me to surrender with my mental illness. But even though I'm hurting because of what I'm dealing with, I will still continue to come on. You better run. It's a war cry. Run. In essence, it's his personality talking. This is who Vinnie Paz'S is, and this is what he represents. I'm going to come at you again and again and again. Okay, now, verse 1. My family don't understand what I go through. Underdiagnosed for 20 years, ain't never broke through. You ever been in such a fog you don't know you? Never been able to do the blank you're supposed to. I wouldn't wish on anyone that I'm close to, never being able, I wouldn't wish on anyone that I'm close to, wouldn't wish it on anybody that I'm opposed to. That's not an accurate diagnosis to show you. Basic neurobiology isn't close to it. You know, when he does his lyrics, it's almost like he spits them out. It's very staccato, it's very machine gun-like, but you get the personality of him pouring out when he does this song. The line I thought off the bat that really influenced me was, he said, my family don't understand. And I get that because it's very hard for families to understand what you're going through, because a lot of times when I work with people with this disorder, the mindset and the comments are, snap out of it. What's wrong with you? Why aren't you getting it? Why aren't you moving forward? What's wrong with you? You need a smack in the head. You need to take a shower. You need to go to bed, lay off the weed. There's always like, you're doing something wrong about yourself. And this is, of course, what is mental illness? This is it, where it's what, and it is what people go through. You always feel, we get this so many times from our comments, I am alone. You're on an island, and that you are the only one experiencing these symptoms. It is terrifying, and it's also the feelings of being adrift. But that family comment is so pervasive and so powerful. Now, what I want to do is I also want to give some understanding of this disorder, and I'm going to break it down each time. So it's going to be my clinical analysis and then an actual breakdown of the disorder. Here we go. Depersonalization disorder, also called derealization disorder, they're two different things, is when you feel. Now, he has depersonalization disorder, and that's when you're detached from your thoughts, feelings, and body. Depersonalization. Derealization is when you're disconnected from your environment. So those are two different things. Now, people with this condition do not lose touch with reality. They realize their perceptions are not real. There can also be signs of other conditions, though, such as brain disorders, seizure disorders, which is very common, and psychiatric disorders such as schizophrenia and dementia. So I wanted to clarify. That's why people get really nervous when they're experiencing this. Am I really suffering from something really, really severe? Now, is depersonalization disorder the same as dissociative disorder? Here's the point. Depersonalization, derealization disorder is a type of dissociative condition. Dissociative disorders are mental conditions involving disruptions or breakdowns in awareness, consciousness, and memory. Okay, now I want to go back to the lyrics. Here we go. I'm watching life as a spectator. I can't help myself, even though I possess data. It's not a part of my spirit to want to test nature. You think you know what I'm feeling, cousin? Then let's wager. I'm having trouble retaining new information. Familiar scenes starting to look foreign. Derealization. Okay, you think that's what he's having. That's not. He has depersonalization. I wanted to make that very, very specific. Everybody tired of being patient. Mama wondering why her baby crying in the basement. Constant rumination just exasperates it to the point where I can't even barely narrate it. I've had doctors tell me that my mind is fascinating, but they can't tell me why the sickness has been activated. Wow. I mean, all of these lyrics are so poignant because I've actually heard this numerous times from almost every line. You feel you're on the sidelines. You can't move forward. You're in limbo. I'm watching life as a spectator. I can't help myself. I can't help myself. How many times have I heard this? Bruce, Bruce, Bruce. I don't know where I'm going. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm lost. I'm not going forward in my life. I'm dancing. You're disconnected from your environment. That's the derealization again. That's not what he has. You feel the looks of people around you. What's wrong with him? Your parents are looking at you like you're a weirdo. Your cousins, your nephews, your best friends, your girlfriend if you have one, your boyfriends, your guys you hang out with. They're like, what's wrong with this guy? Why isn't he getting it? Why is he on terra firma? You're not getting the answers that you need to hear. Okay, what is wrong with me and why am I like this? Man, have I heard that so many times. What is wrong with me, Bruce, and why am I like this? Common statement, which when it has like this neurological basis to it, is the most frightening thing for someone to deal with. Why is my brain betraying me of all things in my life? One thing I can hold on to, my thoughts, my consciousness, who I am, and I don't know who I am. I've had people say to me regarding, like, say, depression, it's like a wet blanket that smells like mildew that's wrapped around me, and I can't move. It's so heavy, I can't move, I can't breathe, I can't see ahead of myself. It's frightening. Okay, now, this is the second part I wanted to explain about this disorder. Is depersonalization disorder a psychotic disorder? Here it is. People with depersonalization disorder know the feelings of detachment are not real. People with a psychotic disorder, such as schizophrenia, believe their feelings are reality. That's the difference. So yes, I'm not like in my body, but I know that's not true. I know I'm sitting on a chair like I am right now. When you're psychotic, you believe your thoughts. And sometimes they make you do some terrible things because you actually believe that they're true. Now, who gets depersonalization disorder? Most people who get it develop it when they're young. The average age for developing depersonalization disorder is 16 years, and you rarely get it after 40. Why is that? Common sense, because your brain now is grown, it's developed, it's not really still forming itself. How common is depersonalization disorder? It's actually quite common. Depersonalization/derealization is quite common. The situation occurs when you experience depersonalization symptoms briefly. You have a fleeting feeling of being detached from yourself or the environment. You may feel like you're watching yourself in a movie. That's a very common statement. I'm watching myself. I'm looking at myself. It states it occurs in about 2%. They say 2% of the population, but it occurs in less than 2% of the population, and it's rare for depersonalization / derealization to need treatment. Now, I want to clarify something. I'm getting this from the Cleveland Clinic, which is a nationally known organization. But from reading article after article after article, they seem to say that 2% of the population in America suffers from these symptoms. How much is 2%? That's about 4 or 5 million people, which is the same number as OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder, which is a disorder that is studied far, far, far more frequently. All right, back to the song itself. Now, here it goes here again. Then you have the hook. Then I get this part. It goes, my head don't work, the meds don't work. But I don't want to be dead, dead don't work. Sleep's the cousin of death, the bed don't work. Maybe I'd rather be dead, dead don't hurt. Realization of an inherent emptiness. Maybe that's another sin for the pessimist. Possibly I am a jinn with an exorcist. And I've fallen because I've been on the precipice. Maybe it's my mama's possible regret. Oh boy, yeah. You get tired of sleeping, by the way. Anyone I talk to that's young, you're not into that. I'm in bed 14 hours a day. I'm in bed 16 hours a day. Young people are like, that's not normal. There's tired, and then there's disorder, and you sleep a lot, and you think it's going to get better. Oh, I'll get a nap, and I'll sleep all night. I'll sleep away the weekend. It doesn't work that way. It's not the answer, and you start to think about death. Is that my role? What's the next step? Suicide? Being locked up? Living in a basement forever? Is that my function? And I've heard that a lot from people. This is my fate moving forward. As for the parent mom, I had this, moms will tell me so many times, they'll say to me off the record, quietly in a different room, did I give birth to a defective child? Is it my fault? Did I do something wrong? And they carry around so much guilt. And you notice in every paragraph, he's talking about his mom and her worries, crying, unsure, frightened, scared. Okay, maybe it's my mama's possible regret. Maybe it's a neurological neglect, that I carry genes that were defective to give birth to a defective child. I hear that a lot from parents. Kids who are on the spectrum, kids who have schizophrenia, kids that have a neurological disorder, kids that act out. Did I carry something in my body? Very common feeling to have. Now, here's another thing. And he said, I'd rather be dead. Maybe because you don't hurt. When you're dead, you don't feel anything. Now I want to talk about this part. Moving along is this. What causes depersonalization disorder? What are the factors? Researchers don't know what causes these disorders. We have an idea, but we're not really 100% sure. Some activity in the brain could be related to seizures. In up to half the cases, they can't identify what triggers the disorder. Biological and environmental factors may play a role. Some people may have higher risk for developing a depersonalization disorder due to a nervous system that's less reactive to emotions, certain personality or other mental health disorders, or seizure disorder. That seems to be a common link. Physical conditions such as having seizures. Now, dissociative disorders can also occur after intense stress or trauma, such as a parent with severe mental illness, abuse, witnessing or experiencing it, accidents, life-threatening danger, natural disasters, sudden death of a loved one, violence, or war. Other causes can be a factor. Certain drugs, such as hallucinogens, don't take them. It can make the condition a lot worse. Being very tired or sleep deprivation. Well, that makes sense. You start to see things and you're not being aware of what's going on. Now, maybe it's the reason why water's wet. Like, in other words, maybe I'm just accepting this as my future. Like, this is just life. The angular gyrus and where the frontal lobe connect. All right, a little science tonight. All right, what is the angular gyrus? All right, I want to explain that. The angular gyrus is involved in various functions, including attention, self-processing, somatic information, What is somatic information? Making logical and non-logical inferences. You're able to put things together, processing emotion, regulation, and mentalizing. Since these functions are required in music performance, it's likely that the angular gyrus plays a role in music performance. That's kind of scary if you're a musician and now you can't focus on your lyrics and understand them. Then he uses the term the frontal lobe connect. Is a portion, and also the angular gyrus is located directly behind the forehead. I want to explain this next piece though. What's the frontal lobe? That's considered to be our behavior and emotional control center and home to our personality. Okay, so let me clarify this. Where are the frontal lobes located? If you're looking at a side view of my head, they're right here, frontal lobes. There's a left one, there's a right one. They both have different functions. The angular gyrus is right behind the frontal lobe. So if you did a cut of my skull on the side, frontal lobe, and then it would be not on the corners, but it would be right behind it, like in the middle of your brain. So that's how the two are located and why they're so relevant to a musician like Vinnie, who'd be terrified, like, I'll never have a career. I'm not focusing. I'm not making the right connections between the chords and the lyrics and the music. Okay, now, maybe I'm being too complicated for you. Maybe I should be calm and just be calm and explain it to you. The psychiatrist thinking they could fool you. Paxil, Zoloft, it's just wasteful to you. I tried medication, tried to sit in silence, but how the blank that help a neurochemical imbalance. All right, now, you hear this a lot. What is Paxil and Zoloft? Okay, those are medications. Those are powerful meds. They're called SSRIs. Selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors. We give a ton of that out in every hospital. Used to treat depression, panic attacks, OCD, anxiety disorders, PTSD, and an aggressive form for women of PMS. You can understand why doctors are so quick to give those two out, because it fits a lot of what someone who's going to be suffering like Vinnie is. Those are the medications you'd be given. So he's already saying like, whoa, Paxil, Zoloft, I've been on them. They weren't really helpful. Now, I'm going to go on to the next piece. I want to go on to number 4. Okay, what are the symptoms of this depersonalization disorder? The main symptoms are disconnected from your thoughts, feelings, and body. That's the depersonalization. Disconnected from your surroundings or environment. That's the derealization. Robot-like, as if you're observing yourself from outside your body, as if you're living in a dream world, depressed, anxious, panicky, like you're going crazy. When you listen to Vinnie do interviews, everything that he talks about is exactly what depersonalization is. Those are exact words. I felt outside my body. I didn't know who I was. I was detached. I couldn't figure out what was going on. That's exactly what he's struggling with. Some people experience mild, short-lived symptoms. Others have chronic, ongoing symptoms that may last for years. The symptoms may interfere with your ability to function. They may even lead to disability. I want everyone to kind of put all the puzzle pieces together. How is it diagnosed? If you have symptoms, your healthcare provider will assess you. You'll have a medical history and a physical exam. What test could you have? There's no test that detect this, okay, to diagnose dissociative disorders, but your provider may want to do a blood or imaging test, X-ray, CT scan, MRI. These tests can rule out any physical side effect, any physical issues, or medical side effects, medication side effects. I wanted to clarify that. Now, on to the next piece. What would you tell a person that they were childish? Why would you tell a person that they were childish? Without an understanding of the pain that they surrounded. I always feel foggy, somatic, meaning, thoughts aren't working together. Detachment, like you're not, like you wake up like you're exhausted. It's like my body isn't connected to actions. It destroys everything that's affected the fragments. I don't have nothing but senses and sadness. What was the problem for Vinnie and a lot of people that I treat when they come to me? They're misdiagnosed. They don't get the help that they need because the therapist, the doctor, the clinician, they're not listening to the patient. They're not taking the paperwork down. They're not reading the symptoms. They're not looking at the signs. They're not seeing it through Vinnie's eyes. which was obviously the case in his situation because it took a long time for him to realize what was going on. When I read the comments on some of the breakdowns of that song, what would I see? Comment after comment. Oh my God, finally, someone gets it. I've lived with this. This changed my life. You don't know what you did for me. I struggled with this for years. Now I have a name for it. God bless you. Thank you so much. It was comment after comment after comment. 4 million people suffer from this. It's out there. So you have to be respectful and see it through the person's eyes and be willing to hear and listen. Listen to what they're saying. Hear it and listen. Okay, a lot of therapists do not understand that, and the patient feels belittled. I don't do that. I never do that. I always listen to someone else's perspective to hear it from them. That's what makes me so good at what I do. I listen. I'm understanding. I look things up. I say, let me take some notes. Let me do some research, some detective work. A great therapist would make a great detective. Very simple. I know I can handle both of them because I understand to look for the inferences to help me. Now, I want to clarify this. Management and treatment. Well, I need treatment for depersonalization disorder. You may need to go for treatment only if the disorder is long-lasting, but keeps returning, it's recurrent, and symptoms are debilitating and distressing. Now, what kind of treatment do you go for? There's psychotherapy, which is basically talk therapy. You can also do a thing called CBT, which focuses on changing thinking patterns, feelings and behaviors that aren't serving you. DBT may help with severe personality disturbances. It's good if you've experienced abuse with trauma. There's also EMDR, things of that nature. Now, what kind of medications? There is not a medication for depersonalization disorder, but treating depression or the anxiety can help. You understand now why the Paxil and Zoloft, they're antidepressants. Your provider may prescribe antidepressants or anti-anxiety meds such as norepinephrine, but there's other ones as well, obviously. Okay, now, I want to clarify this piece and explain this here. The outro, the end of his run, run, run. That's how he ends the song with. Well, the girl ends it, run, run, run. But my point is, don't give up in looking for answers. Find someone that does understand and that does listen. You're not alone out there, okay? Studies continue to be done and medications and perspectives change. No one in my career has ever said to me, I love being mentally disabled. No one likes that. I love being mentally ill, Bruce, and I want to stay this way. Everyone wants to get better. Of course they do. Who doesn't want to get better? These songs inspire people to make changes in their life. Credit to you, Vinnie. I really got to give you a lot of credit to opening up yourself and sharing some horrible things in your life and the pain and the distress and the fear and embarrassment, humiliation that it caused you, and that you finally seem to get the help that you need to understand what you're suffering from. Keep on making the music. One last thing. I pulled down a research study from William and Mary University that was done in 2010, and it calls Examining the Curious Case of Depersonalization Disorder. This is written in 2010, but just want to share just 2 comments that they made. They said that the statistic is astonishing that roughly the same percentage of individuals from the general population currently fit the criteria for a diagnosis of OCD, a much more widely known and studied pathology. The same amount of people, like 2%, like 4.5 million. And then they also asked the question, it still remains to be established whether selective SSRIs are effective treatments. In other words, we're still learning, things are still growing. Everyone that's watching this video, don't give up. That's the whole point of these breakdowns. That's what we talk to you about this all the time. Don't give up. Be creative. It's your body. Doesn't work with the first provider, go to the second. Be searching, be seeking. Watch these videos. We've changed hundreds of lives, if not thousands of them. Watch them, do the live streams, and then come on to the trainings. You'll get the most bang, and you'll really understand yourself on a deeper level. Thank you everyone for watching. Bruce Mufson, LCSW, Sunridge of Nevada.